Well, now let's give you the details of the news. The Finance Minister, Setepe, is leading a government delegation to attend the IMF World Bank Spring meetings currently underway in Washington, D.C. The delegation also includes the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kofi Wampa, Chairman of Parliament Finance Committee, James Kluche Avaji, and other officials from the Bank of Ghana and Ghana's Ministry of Finance. Well, the Joy Business News team gathers that Ghana is likely to table a request to the International Monetary Fund for a financial bailout. Although the Deputy Minister of Finance, Ato Forson, would not challenge this, he says any agreements reached with the IMF would look at homegrown approach to restore economic stability.
Well, meanwhile, the World Bank says members of ECOWAS will be better off if they sign the economic partnership agreements with the European Union. The bank adds the region's manufacturing exports could see a major boost with the signing of the EPA. ECOWAS states, including Ghana, recently put the agreement on hold pending redress of certain concerns raised by Nigeria. Negotiations over the EPA delayed 2 years ago after countries of ECOWAS resisted lifting tariff barriers over fears they could crush nascent industries unable to cope with European imports.
We turn our attention to issues of transport, and commercial transport operators are unhappy about delays by various unions and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council to publish a new approved fares following last week's increase in fuel prices. According to them, the delay in the release of the fares was affecting their operations. Well, the GPRT, which had earlier indicated the new fares would be out last Friday following its own consultations, now says their proposals were still under consideration by the Transport Ministry.
Fares have remained the same, even though fuel prices have been increased a few times. This, the commercial drivers say, is badly affecting business, directing their charges at their union leaders.
Affecting papa. If we say, don't first park on the price in the buy, ye station say yantum, and what ye assign atum bear 3 times yantum, and we have become a fame my intia may high. So come my airborne. Akosoro ye yirum kokoso ese di bika so adwuma na ye no says kanu ye nyasa tie boka entum tie mpanifo na ye twen se on beba tie ye kire mpanifo so mon kan mo no mo ye ntem na entie nso hia se ye nso adwuma no ye betuma ese ese adwuma ye ne ye boka
me tofu egu me kan mo na me de ko adwuma sika wo se me nya no me nya because fair no so na yes ano ye mpanifo so mbetum enso yes up to date ni ye ntehwe entire old fair na ye use until old fair no so no ko tofu na ye say fair is almost getting to 12 point BBB enti no otogu mu a obekọ no wa lusu enti ama ye nya sika bia.
The Greater Accra GPRTU chairman is however urging patience for what he describes as the inevitable increase.
We are still, talking, over that percentage increment. That has not been finalized, and therefore, we've not transmitted same to, our members to charge the new fare. We do not have any option than to increase. Passengers as of now cannot escape from any increments.
He added the union is going to effectively collaborate with drivers to insist the right fares are charged to avert arguments between passengers and the operators.
We've noticed the concern of our passengers in terms of calculation of the percentage, and this time around it is calculated before we sent out to our various branches. You see, we've done the calculation by ourselves in this very office at the National Secretariat as well. Then we distribute to the drivers.
He, however, criticized the National Petroleum Authority for not consulting them before increasing the fuel prices and called for collaboration. Though he will not say the percentage increase they are proposing, Joynews has learned the union wants a 20% increase on the current fares. Matilda Pamaga for Joynews, Accra.
Well, tests on blood samples from a girl who died from what was feared to be the deadly Ebola virus have come out negative. Minister of Health Sherry Aite told a news conference though Ebola has been ruled out, officials at the Noguchi Memorial Institute are still researching into the cause of the girl's death.
News broke out about a suspected Ebola case at Okomfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in Kumasi over the weekend, coming on the back of reports that the virus had claimed several lives in countries in the sub-region. Many feared the worst. The negative results, as announced by the Minister of Health, therefore, comes at a great relief.
A report from Noguchi Memorial Institute, states categorically that the samples of the blood, that they analyzed, is negative of Ebola virus, and also negative of any common viral fever. And on this note, would like to allay the fears of Ghanaians, that the Ebola virus has actually been detected in Ghana.
Officials maintain the ministry and the technical committee have taken steps to ensure full control of the situation at all entry points and within the country.
Currently, we've agreed to establish 56 quarantine centers across the country. We also need to provide protective clothing to most of our hospitals and our regional medical centers. And also, it is very important that we train, our medical, staff, our nurses, how to take care of themselves when a suspected case is reported to the hospital.
There were suggestions earlier that Ghana would have to restrict entry through its borders to prevent infiltration by the virus. But the World Health Organization country representative, Dr. Robalu, says there's not going to be any such move.
WHO is not recommending any restriction on travel or on trade with Guinea, with Mali, with Liberia, with Sierra Leone, with Ghana, or any other country where cases of Ebola have been either suspected or confirmed. There is no need for restriction of trade, restriction of travel. You have heard that some countries are closing their borders. There is no need for people to fear coming to Ghana, going to Guinea or anywhere.
Members of the public are meanwhile being asked to report any suspected cases to the hospital or to officials of the Ghana Health Service.
Well, meanwhile, the World Health Organization's country representative, Dr. Magda Rubalo, says the suspected Ebola case over the weekend was a test on Ghana's preparedness to deal with an outbreak of the disease. She spoke to Israel Lai.
Kumasi case that we have just concluded today that was negative was a good test of the level of alertness that the Ghanaian authorities have put in place to detect any suspected case and being able to quickly put the diagnosis in place and find out whether or not it's a positive case, and then from there roll out the response that is required for the outbreak. I think we had a very swift response from the health facilities, from the health authorities, and that gives us confidence that moving forward, if something comes up, we will be able to identify a suspected case and quickly have the diagnosis.
Can you give us some education as to what to avoid or what not to do?
Well, Ebola, unfortunately, is a disease for which so far we don't have any treatment and there is no vaccine to prevent Ebola. The only thing we can do is to avoid contact with wildlife that can transmit the disease to the human being, and then human-to-human transmission that is made through close contact with fluids, secretions, and blood, and any other liquids on organs of infected people. So what we are recommending is precaution. fortunately, it's not like an influenza virus where someone may sneeze in a room and then you spread the virus. It requires close contact, but it requires precautions also. Like I said, it's a disease that mimics many other illnesses. You may not suspect that actually this can be a case of Ebola. We don't want to create panic. We don't want anyone to be alarmed by this. We just want people to be aware and to take the necessary precautions to avoid wildlife animal transmission to human beings and human-to-human transmission of this disease.
We turn our attention to other news. In the Northern Region Police Command has arrested 14 suspects, including 2 assembly members, in connection with recent violence in East Mamprusi district, which claimed 4 lives. Several others were injured in the clash between the Mamprusis and Kokumbes on one side and Bimobes on the other.
The 2 assembly members named among the 14 suspects are said to have instigated the youth of the area to engage in the violent exchanges which started last Thursday after a man believed to be a Bimoba was shot dead by Tamboses at Bimbamong. The Bimobas following the death are said to have attacked the Tamboses, who then retaliated. The violence, which lasted 3 days, spread to neighboring communities such as Bongni and Sakogu, drawing in the Mamprusis and Konkombes. Many houses in Bongni, Sakogu and Bimbamong were set ablaze, causing the inhabitants to flee. The 14 suspects were arrested in a police operation to restore calm. A number of weapons, including 3 AK-47 rifles, 3 locally manufactured shotguns, 1 G3 rifle, 1 pistol and over 70 rounds of ammunition were retrieved. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Ebenezer Tete said 7 out of the 14 suspects have been arraigned before court on charges of murder, conspiracy to commit crime with murder, causing harm and possessing firearms without lawful authority.
7 out of the 14 have been arraigned before Tamale courts, district magistrate courts, and we hope that it will be remanded to reappear subsequently in court. The charges that we preferred against them are conspiracy to commit crime with murder, causing harm, and possessing firearms without lawful authority. 4 persons have also been confirmed dead. The number of injuries have increased to 4, but I must say that 3 of them have been treated and discharged. 1 is still on admission. Police reinforcement is still on the ground, and we are firmly in control of the situation as we speak now. We hope that with the presence of the police on the ground and the military, any further violent act by anybody is going to be quelled quickly or nipped in the bud.
Meanwhile, in a separate development related to the violence in the region, a Tamale District Magistrate Court, presided over by Anthony Assar, has remanded a 32-year-old unemployed Alhassan Alidu, also known as Bullet, into prison custody to reappear on April 21, 2014 for his alleged role in the murder of Mustafa Abdul Rashid, who was lynched at Abu Timber Market last month. Alhassan Alidu was arrested last night by the police in collaboration with the public in the Abu forest. This brings to 4 the number of suspects remanded into prison custody in connection with the Tamale violent incident last month, which claimed 2 lives.
Well, after months of investigating the operations of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, Joynews has uncovered more facts bordering on financial malfeasance. SADA was originally created to coordinate development to bridge the development gap between the north and south of Ghana.
Well, there are fears these operations have been deviled by alleged corruption, improper award of contracts, among others. In the first of investigative report, Manasseh Azure Awone reports on how SADA invested 74 million cedis at the bank, where its chairman is managing director, which its money is also unable to account for.
According to a budget monitoring report submitted to Parliament for the 2012 financial year, SADA earmarked over 23 million Ghana cedis as its investment for that year. The authority, however, ended up investing over 74 million Ghana cedis. That is over 51 million Ghana cedis more. The budget monitoring statement does not provide details of the investment, but a recent audit report Joynews intercepted in the course of this investigation reveals that the amount was invested in a call account at the Movenpick branch of the Stanbic Bank here in Accra. According to the report, management of SADA could not produce the investment certificate as evidence of the deposit made. Management also failed to disclose the interest that had accrued on the investment. The audit report says there is the risk that the investment could be lost to SADA in any eventuality. Another anomaly which the audit report found with the 74.5 million Ghana cedis investment is the type of investment made. The report indicates that SADA could have invested the money in high-yielding accounts, such as fixed deposits. Though they will not speak on record until they've seen details of the account, they have indicated that the call account could only be justified if SADA management negotiated a high interest rate. Management of SADA has refused to comment on the transaction. Joynews also contacted the board chairman of SADA and managing director of Stanbic Bank, Al-Hassan Andane, in whose bank the investment was made. He confirmed that SADA had an account with the Stanbic Bank, but he declined to provide the interest rate and other details of the investment. I account to the president and not to you, Manasseh and Joy FM, he said. Joy FM, myjoyonline.com and Joynews on Multi TV will be bringing you more on our investigative series on SADA. Manasseh Azore Arene for Joynews.
Again, we have a news team currently in Tamale, and they are going to give you all the latest updates as far as the MPP's National Delegates Congress is concerned, and it's slated on this very Saturday, the 12th of April 2014.
But the question is, how well do you know the delegates? So we'll bring you a profile of the delegates.
Then General Secretary Kojo Uswefrie is the man to beat as he won by more than 60% of the total votes cast at the last delegates conference in Kumasi. He describes himself as the lead grassroots man who understands the needs and concerns of the masses of the party. He's counting on the support he enjoys among the grassroots to get a renewal of mandates by the party's delegates. His call message to the party delegates is that he has been with them all the time and understands their language as a grassroots person, and so can work effectively with them to secure victory for the party in the 2016 elections. Another contender for the position is Kwabena Ejapong. He's been described by some party supporters as a true party man who knows the NPP inside out and who has a lot to offer. His assurance to the NPP delegates is that he will be a practical and decisive General Secretary who will take pragmatic steps to win the 2016 general elections by decentralizing the activities of the party. Mr. Japong served as press secretary to the President Kufuor from 2001 until May 2006 when he resigned from his position. He contested in the 2007 MPP presidential primary against Nana Akufo-Addo and Mr. Chermanting, among others. Another legal practitioner gunning to be the party's chief scribe is Yaobuabing Asamoah. This will be his second time of contesting the position after his first bid in 2009. He has once served as spokesperson to the late Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama and believes he's worked a lot for the party and gained considerable experience to be considered for the position. His call message to the party delegates is unity to protect the ballots so that there will be no need to go to the Supreme Court again to challenge results as it happened after the 2012 general elections. The final contestant in the General Secretary race is Captain retired Nkrabea Ifadate. The one-time Deputy Minister for Local Government and later Interior in the Kufuor administration was the first person to launch his Alert and Win campaign for the General Secretary position of the NPP. The thrust of the Alert and Win mantra is that it will take extreme alertness and vigilance on the part of the NPP to win the 2016 elections. He believes the NPP lost both the 2008 and 2012 elections, in quotes, for lack of alertness. Even though some people see him as the obvious underdog in the contest, the retired army captain says he is the man to beat for the position. So the contest is that of 3 lawyers and a civil engineer. As to who wins this contest, the evidence will be seen on Saturday.
Come on!
Okay, so join the team not only this very Saturday, but the period before the Saturday. All the best updates on all the programs that are always on the channel. Joynews on Multi-TV. And the one leading the news team in Tamale is our own Emmanuel Ante. He will be on the lines this morning. He will be giving us the latest update from Tamale. In the meantime, though, we'd have to turn attention to issues of judgment debts. And the sole commissioner for judgment debt, Justice Yawapo, has had cause to complain about what he says is the politicization of the commission's work by the media. He wants this to stop because it is impacting negatively on its work. He explains there is an unwillingness by witnesses to appear before the commission to testify as a result.
He said some newspapers, including the Herald, wrote wrong reports suggesting the commission is after past attorney generals, including Joe Gate and Nana Akufo-Addo.
I again read from the Herald that so Commissioner Lambase or so Joe Gate, Attorney General. Nobody has ever mentioned the name of any Attorney General here. During the drill ship issue, people were on the radio, TV, everywhere. My own friend Kweku Baku was going around shouting. And the commissioner, they are looking for Nana Akufo-Addo. It's Nana they are looking for. That's why they are doing this. That's what nobody said he was looking for Nana Akufo-Addo. If some of the papers are being paid to play dirty politics, please don't extend it to this commission. This is a national exercise. It affects everybody, all parties. It cuts across all parties, including even military regimes.
Justice Yawapo was very unhappy. These wrong reports have been affecting the work of the commission since witnesses have begun to shy away for fear of misrepresentation.
The witnesses who appear before us to assist us get to the root of some of these things. When these payments were being made or when the cases went to court, some of them were not even at post. They are just coming here to assist us with documents to get to the root. But when you come out with such sensational reporting, some of them feel, unwilling to appear. When some officers are asked to come, they fear to come because they know they will be misreported. Please, don't do that.
In the case of Ghana Telecom and Telecom Malaysia, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance was represented by legal counsel Sarah Fafakpodo, who produced documents relating to the settlement between the two telcos. Attorney General, who was unable to attend, wrote to the Commission explaining the need for more time to produce documents.
Well, so that's it for the latest news updates.
Before we go though, we want to run through you quickly the headlines.
And the World Bank says Ghana and other members of ECOWAS will be better off if they sign the Economic Partnership Agreement, the EPA.
The Northern Region Police Command has arrested some 14 suspects, including 2 assembly members in connection with recent violence in the East Mamprusi district, which claimed 4 lives.
On the road, commercial transport operators are unhappy about delays by various unions and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council to publish new approved fares following last week's increase in fuel prices. That's it for the latest news headlines we have in the morning.
Baba Tando comes up shortly with sports. Is brought to you by Cowbell.
Do stay up. We'll be right back.
Good morning. My name is Baba Tando. Let's talk sports now, courtesy Cowbell. But let's begin from home, where First Capital Plus, headline sponsors of the Ghana Premier League, have presented a set of drums to each of the 16 Premier League teams to help boost supporting in the league. Now, the initiative by the prestigious bank is in fulfillment of their promise to uplift the local game by promoting a competitive atmosphere at various league centers. Chairman of the Premier League Board, Yao Welbeck Abrapia, who received the drums on behalf of the club, says this will make the game more interesting.
We have our sponsors providing the 16 Premier League clubs with something to play about, with something to motivate the clubs, with something to make football interesting, and with something to draw the crowd to the stadium. This presentation will go a long way for even those who will be relegated, so that when they get to that level and they start using them, then the competitors who will be within that group, that is the first division, will realize that they are seniors who have come from afar. So don't worry. Even if you go to relegation, you go with it.
All right, away from football, Promatidor Ghana Limited, they produce cowbell. They are part sponsors, and they have partnered Ghana's Fastest Human as part of efforts to revive and push athletics in schools. Now, the initiative, which will be annualized, to unearth athletic talent in the country's educational institutions, especially children under the age of 16. Now, athletes who will excel in the championship will be entitled to athletic scholarships put together by the Barbarossa Foundation to study and train with the Aspire Academy. Originator of Ghana's Fastest Human concept, Rex Brobe, is excited about this milestone.
Very, very, very satisfied. Why? Because what Cowbell is doing is identifying the juniors. The basic schools are 6 years to 15 years, and Cowbell is investing $250,000 to identify key people in all the athletic disciplines. I'm very, very happy today.
We understand some of your products have had the opportunity to go to Qatar and back. What experiences have they been sharing with you?
Besides the thrill of going to Qatar, the sports science which they are being introduced to, their blood is being drawn. I mean, the things they had to do, they were like, well, I'm here to do long jump. Why am I going through all this? So that was a good exposure for them in what is to come if they are to become international athletes.
Where do you go from here?
Where we go from here is August. We do the second year of the Junior Elite, Cowbell Junior Elite Athletic Championships. The same thing will happen. We will pick the best. We will give them access to the Qatar people. They will come and pick the 4 or 5 or 200 that they want to pick. The scholarships are there. We have several scholarships for 15 and under.
Right, it's make or break tonight for Borussia Dortmund and Chelsea in the UEFA Champions League tonight. I wonder how Chelsea are going to get around their 3-1 deficit in the first leg when they went to France to play against Paris Saint-Germain. So Paris Saint-Germain, they get into tonight's game at the Stamford Bridge, 3-1 above Chelsea. Let's see how that happens. And then at the Signal Iduna Park, Borussia Dortmund, they would also hope to overturn the 3-0 deficit they suffered in the first leg against Real Madrid at the Camp Nou. I don't know how that is also going to happen, but let's see. But for me, I think it's one leg in for Real Madrid and for PSG. But let's see what happens after tonight's round of matches. So it's Borussia Dortmund up against Real Madrid, and then Chelsea up against PSG. There will be more updates on news today this afternoon. My name is Baba Tando. Sports on the AM show is proudly brought to you by Cowbell. Good morning.